Dr. Kethful pressed his scaled hands against the cold metal of the observation deck window. His yellow eyes stared at the massive shape floating in the darkness of space. The ship was huge, bigger than anything he had ever seen before. It was nearly 2 kilometers long and looked like it had been drifting through space for thousands of years. "Look at those marks on the hull," said Velmora, the crystalline being who worked as his assistant. Her voice rang like tiny bells when she spoke. "I have never seen damage like that." Kethful nodded slowly. The ship's metal surface was covered in deep scars and holes. Some looked like they came from weapons. Others looked like they came from space rocks hitting the hull over many years. The ship was dark and silent. No lights, no signals, no signs of life at all. "Captain Mordoon," Kethful called to the gas cloud that controlled their research ship. "Take us closer. I want to see this better." The Zephyrian Dawn moved forward slowly. It was a small ship compared to the giant floating in front of them. Kethful's ship was built for research, not war. It had tools for studying old things, not weapons for fighting. "Are you sure this is safe?" asked Velmora. Her crystal body flickered with nervous light. "What if it is not really dead?" "It has been floating here for thousands of years," Kethful said. "Our sensors show no power, no heat, no movement. It is just an empty shell now." But as they got closer, Kethful felt something strange. The ship's design was not like anything in the galactic database. The hull was made of metals that their computers could not identify. The shape was long and pointed, like a spear made for war. Most ships in the galaxy were round or curved. This one looked angry, even while it was dead. The markings on the side, Velmora pointed with one of her crystal fingers. "They look like writing, but I cannot read them." Kethful looked where she pointed. There were symbols painted on the hull in faded white paint. Most of the letters were too old to read, but he could make out some shapes. They looked simple, almost primitive compared to the complex writing systems used by most galactic races. "Maybe it is from the first civilization," Kethful said quietly. "The legends say they built ships before any of our races learned to fly between stars. The first civilization was just a story to most people. Scientists like Kethful thought they might have been real. The idea was that one race had traveled the galaxy long ago, leaving behind technology and knowledge. Then they disappeared, and other races found their tools and learned how to use them. But the design is so simple," Velmora said. "Look at those weapon ports. They are just holes in the hull. Our ships have much better weapons." Kethful had noticed the same thing. The ship had many places where weapons could fire from, but they looked basic. Not like the energy weapons most races used now. These looked like they were made to shoot solid objects, like metal bullets or explosive shells. "Maybe simple worked better," he said. "This ship is still here. How many of our ships will last 3,000 years? Captain Mordoon's voice filled the air around them. As a gas being, he could speak from anywhere on the ship. "I am reading some strange energy. Patterns from the derelict. Very faint, but they are there." "What kind of energy?" Kethful asked. "I do not know. My sensors have never seen anything like it. It is almost like the ship is sleeping, not dead." Kethful felt his scales tingle with excitement. A sleeping ship was much more interesting than a dead one. If there was still some power left, maybe they could wake up the ship's computers. Maybe they could learn about the race that built it. "Prepare the boarding shuttle," he ordered. "We are going inside." "Is that wise?" Velmora asked. "We do not know what is in there." "That is why we are here," Kethful said. "To learn about things we do not know." The boarding shuttle was a small craft that could attach to other ships. It had tools for cutting through metal and machines for testing the air inside. Kethval had used it many times to explore old ships and stations. As they got ready to board, Kethval looked at the giant ship one more time. Something about it made him feel uneasy. Most old ships looked peaceful, like they had died quietly. This one looked different. Even cold and dark, it looked dangerous. "The hull is very thick," reported Zixon, their engineer. He was a small, bug-like being with 6 arms, much thicker than normal. "And these metals are incredibly strong. It will take time to cut through." "Do it," Kethval said. "I want to see what secrets this ship is hiding." As their cutting tools began to work on the hull, Kethval made notes in his journal. The ship was unlike anything in the galactic records. The design was simple but effective. The weapons were basic but numerous. The armor was thick and strong. It was built by a race that knew how to fight. "Almost through," Zixon reported. "The metal is resisting, but we are making progress." Kethval wondered what they would find inside. Maybe ancient computers with star maps. Maybe weapons technology that could help defend against pirates. Maybe art and culture from a lost civilization. He did not think about the possibility that the ship was not as dead as it looked. He did not consider that some things were better left sleeping. And he definitely did not imagine that his small research team was about to wake up something that had been waiting 3,000 years for another chance to fight. The cutting beam finally broke through the hull with a bright flash. Air rushed out of the hole, which meant there was still atmosphere inside. That was strange for a ship that had been dead for so long. "Atmosphere is breathable," Zixon reported. "Some oxygen, nitrogen, standard mix. But there are also trace gases I cannot identify." "Prepare for boarding," Kethval ordered. "We go in slowly and carefully." As the boarding shuttle attached to the hull, none of them noticed the faint vibration that ran through the giant ship. Deep inside, systems that had been waiting for thousands of years began to wake up. Ancient computers started their startup sequences. Power began to flow through long-dead circuits. The humans were coming back to life. Captain Jake Morrison felt the cold leaving his body slowly. His eyes opened to see a metal ceiling covered in frost. The air tasted stale and metallic. He tried to move, but his muscles felt like frozen steel. The cryogenic pod around him was making soft beeping sounds. Warning. Emergency revival protocol activated. Time in suspension. 3,247 years. Jake's mind tried to process what the computer voice had just said. 3,000 years? That was impossible. The mission was supposed to last 50 years at most. Something had gone very wrong. He forced his stiff fingers to work and pressed the pod release button. The glass cover slid back with a hiss. Cold air rushed over his face as he slowly sat up. Every joint in his body hurt. His skin felt like paper that might tear if he moved too fast. "Status report," he said, his voice coming out as a rough whisper. "Captain Morrison, you are awake," said the ship's AI. Liberty had been with them since the beginning of their mission. Her voice sounded the same as always, calm and efficient. "I have been maintaining minimum systems for 3 millennia. Power reserves are at 12%. Jake swung his legs over the side of the pod. The metal floor was ice cold against his bare feet. He was wearing the same simple gray uniform he had put on before going into cryosleep. It felt strange to think that was over 3,000 years ago. "What happened to our mission?" he asked. "Mission parameters became impossible to complete. The enemy fleet disappeared from all sensors 2,800 years ago. I made the decision to continue life support and wait for new orders." Jake stood up slowly, holding onto the pod for support. The command deck looked exactly the same as when he had gone to sleep. Banks of computers lined the walls. The captain's chair sat in the center, surrounded by control stations. Everything was covered in a thin layer of frost. Are the others alive? All crew members are alive and in stable condition. I am beginning revival procedures now. As Liberty spoke, Jake could hear the soft sounds of other cryopods beginning their wake-up cycles. Somewhere in the ship, his crew was starting to come back to life. He hoped they were all okay. 3,000 years was a long time to sleep. Jake walked to the main view screen and turned it on. The display showed the blackness of space, filled with distant stars. They were still between solar systems, just as they had been when they went to sleep. But something was different. There was a light nearby that had not been there before. Liberty, what is that light? Unknown vessel, Captain. It appeared 6 hours ago and has been scanning our hull. The ship design is not in our database. Jake felt his heart start to beat faster. An unknown ship could mean the enemy had found them. After 3,000 years of sleep, they might be about to fight again. Are our weapons online? Weapons are offline. All non-essential systems were shut down to conserve power. It will take 30 minutes to bring combat systems online. Do it now, Jake ordered. And wake up Lieutenant Brooks and Chief Collins first. I need my tactical officer and engineer. Jake walked to the ship's communication station. The controls felt familiar under his hands, even after so many years. He had spent hundreds of hours at these stations during the war. The war that had apparently ended while he slept. Captain? A weak voice called from across the room. Jake turned to see Lieutenant Amy Brooks climbing out of her cryopod. She was his tactical officer, a skilled fighter who had saved their lives many times during the war. Her dark hair was longer than it had been when she went to sleep, and her face looked pale, but her eyes were sharp and alert. Amy, thank God you're okay, Jake said. How long? She asked, her voice getting stronger. 3,000 years. Amy's face went white. She grabbed the edge of her pod and sat down hard. That's impossible. I know, but it's true, and we have company. Jake pointed to the view screen. Amy looked at the unknown light, and her training took over. She walked to the weapons control station and began checking the systems. Weapons are completely offline, she reported. It will take time to bring them back up. What do we know about that ship? Nothing. It's not in our database. Could be. A new enemy design, Amy said. Or maybe the old enemy found us. Before Jake could answer, another voice joined him. Chief Engineer Pete Collins was climbing out of his pod, moving slowly but steadily. Pete was a big man with strong hands and a calm way of speaking. He had kept their ship running through the worst battles of the war. Captain, good to see you, Pete said, though I was hoping to wake up back on Earth. Earth will have to wait, Jake said. We have a situation. Unknown ship scanning us. I need all systems online as fast as possible. Pete nodded and headed for the engineering station. His fingers moved over the controls like he had just used them yesterday. Power systems are stable, but very low. I can bring weapons online, but it will drain our reserves fast. Do it, Jake ordered. We need to be ready. As Pete worked, more crew members began to wake up. Jake could hear voices from other parts of the ship as people climbed out of their pods. Some sounded confused. Others sounded scared. All of them would need answers he did not have. Captain, Amy said from the weapons station, I'm reading multiple energy signatures from that ship. It's definitely advanced technology, but the patterns are strange. Not like anything we fought before. Jake felt a cold fear in his stomach. If this was a new enemy, they were in serious trouble. The USS Defiance was a powerful ship, but it was also very old now. 3,000 years was a long time for technology to advance. Captain Morrison, Liberty's voice filled the air. I am receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel. It appears to be some form of communication attempt. Put it on speakers, Jake ordered. Strange sounds filled the command deck. It sounded like music mixed with static, with patterns that almost seemed like words. But it was not any language Jake had ever heard. That's not human, Amy said quietly. And it's not the enemy either, Pete added. Enemy communications were always harsh and mechanical. This sounds almost ... friendly. Jake listened to the strange sounds. Pete was right. It did not sound threatening. It sounded like someone trying to talk to them, not someone preparing to attack. Liberty, can you analyze the signal? The transmission contains mathematical patterns and what appear to be star charts. It may be an attempt at peaceful contact. Jake felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. Peaceful contact was better than an enemy attack, but it raised new questions. If this was not the enemy, then who was it? And what had happened to the galaxy while they slept? Captain, Amy said, more systems are coming online. But I'm not reading any weapons signatures from that ship. It looks like a research vessel, not a warship. Jake looked at the view screen again. The light was getting brighter as the ship moved closer. Soon they would be able to see it clearly. He wondered what they would find. Were these aliens friendly? Were they enemies? Or were they something else entirely? All crew members are now awake, Liberty reported. Dr. Grant, Sergeant Wright, and Commander Hayes are requesting permission to come to the bridge. Send them up, Jake said. We're going to need everyone. As he waited for the rest of his senior staff, Jake tried to understand what had happened. They had gone to sleep during a war that was going badly for humanity. They had woken up to find the war was over and strangers were knocking on their door. The galaxy had changed while they slept, and now they had to figure out their place in it. The USS Defiance was waking up, and soon the galaxy would learn that humans were back. Dr. Lisa Grant woke up to the sound of alarms. Her laboratory was dark except for the red emergency lights that cast strange shadows on the walls. She climbed out of her cryopod and immediately checked on her specimens. As expected, they were all dead. 3,000 years was too long for any biological sample to survive. Dr. Grant, please report to the bridge. Liberty's voice echoed through the lab. Lisa grabbed her uniform jacket and headed for the elevator. As she walked through the corridors, she saw other crew members moving around the ship. Everyone looked confused and worried. She did not blame them. Waking up after 3,000 years was not something anyone had trained for. The elevator ride to the bridge gave her time to think. As the ship's xenobiologist, she had studied alien life during the war. Most of the enemy species they had fought were hostile and aggressive. But if there was a new alien ship nearby, maybe things had changed. When the elevator doors opened, she saw Captain Morrison standing at the center of the bridge. Lieutenant Brooks was at the weapons station, and Chief Collins was working at the LCE. Engineering controls. They all looked older somehow, even though their bodies had not aged in cryo-sleep. Lisa, good to see you, Captain Morrison said. We have a situation. Before she could ask what was happening, the bridge doors opened again. Sergeant Dan Wright walked in, followed by Commander Nick Hayes. Dan was the ship's head of security, a tough soldier who had fought in every major battle of the war. Nick was their diplomatic officer, though there had not been much diplomacy during the war. Captain, Dan said, my security teams are ready. What's the threat? Unknown alien vessel. Morrison replied. They've been scanning us for hours. We don't know if they're friendly or hostile. Lisa looked at the main view screen. The alien ship was clearly visible now. It was much smaller than the Defiance, with a curved hull covered in what looked like sensors and communication equipment. It definitely looked like a research vessel, not a warship. Had they tried to communicate? Nick asked. They've been sending signals. Amy reported from the weapons station. Mathematical patterns and star charts. Liberty thinks it might be peaceful contact. Nick nodded. That's standard first contact protocol. Most species start with math because it's universal. Most species? Lisa asked. How many alien races did we encounter during the war? Just the enemy coalition, Morrison said. About 6 different species, all hostile. But this ship doesn't match any of their designs. Lisa studied the alien vessel on the screen. The design was elegant and smooth, very different from the Angular. Aggressive ships they had fought during the war. It looked like it was built for exploration, not conquest. Captain, Pete called from the engineering station. I'm reading some strange energy signatures from our hull. It looks like someone has been cutting through our outer armor. What? Morrison snapped. Where? Section 7, lower deck. They've made a small hole, just big enough for a person to fit through. Dan's hand moved to his weapon. They're trying to board us. Wait, Nick said. If they wanted to attack, they would have done it while we were asleep. This might be a rescue attempt. Lisa felt her heart racing. The idea of meeting new alien species was exciting, but also terrifying. During the war, contact with aliens had always meant fighting. She hoped this time would be different. Liberty, Morrison said, scanned the boarding area. How many aliens are there? I detect 3 life forms approaching the breach. They appear to be different species. One is reptilian, one is crystalline, and one is gaseous. 3 different species working together, Lisa said. That's interesting. During the war, the enemy coalition was forced together by conquest. These might be genuine allies, or they might be scouting for a larger invasion force, Dan said grimly. Morrison looked at his senior staff. Recommendations? We should try to communicate, Nick said. If they wanted to hurt us, they've had plenty of chances. I agree, Lisa added. This could be the first peaceful contact with aliens in human history. I disagree, Dan said. We should assume they're hostile until proven otherwise. That kept us alive during the war. Amy looked up from her weapons controls. Captain, our weapons are now online. If they are hostile, we can defend ourselves. Morrison was quiet for a moment, thinking. Lisa could see the weight of command on his shoulders. After 3,000 years, he was still responsible for the lives of his crew. We'll try communication first, he decided. But stay ready for anything. Nick, can you set up a translation protocol? Already working on it, Nick said, moving to the communication station. I'm using the mathematical patterns they sent us. As a base, it will take time, but we should be able to establish basic communication. On the view screen, they could see the alien ship moving closer. It was beautiful in its own way, with flowing lines and what looked like crystalline structures along its hull. Whoever built it clearly valued form as well as function. Captain, Liberty said, the aliens have entered our ship. They are moving slowly and do not appear to be armed. Put internal cameras on screen, Morrison ordered. The view screen switched to show the lower deck where the aliens had entered. Lisa gasped at what she saw. The reptilian being was tall and graceful, with scales that shimmered in the light. The crystalline creature looked like a living gemstone, beautiful and alien. The gaseous being was harder to see, but it moved with purpose through the air. They're incredible, Lisa whispered. They're in our ship without permission, Dan said. That's an invasion. Look at how they're moving, Nick observed. Slowly, carefully. They're not acting like invaders. They're acting like researchers. The aliens were examining the walls and equipment with what looked like scientific instruments. They seemed genuinely curious about human technology, not looking for weapons or weaknesses. Captain, Pete said, I'm reading some kind of energy field around the gaseous being. It might be their life support system. That makes sense, Lisa said. A gaseous species would need containment to survive in our atmosphere. On the screen, the reptilian alien was examining the human writing on the walls. It looked puzzled, like it was trying to understand what the symbols meant. "They can't read our language," Nick said. "That's a good sign. If they were enemies from the war, they would have learned our writing systems." Morrison made his decision. "We're going to make contact. Nick, get your translation system ready. Dan, bring a small security team, but keep weapons lowered. Lisa, you're coming with us. I want a xenobiologist's opinion on these aliens." "Captain, is that wise?" Amy asked. "We don't know anything about them." "We don't know anything about the galaxy anymore," Morrison replied. "We've been asleep for 3,000 years. It's time to learn what's changed." As they prepared to meet the aliens, Lisa felt a mix of excitement and fear. This could be humanity's second chance at peaceful contact with other species. Or it could be the beginning of a new war. But looking at the aliens on the screen, studying their ship with scientific curiosity rather than military aggression, she felt hopeful. Maybe the galaxy had changed for the better while they slept. The USS Defiance was about to make first contact, and this time it might not end in violence. The aliens had stopped moving through the ship and seemed to be waiting for something. Lisa realized they probably knew the ship was now active and inhabited. They were waiting for the humans to come to them. "They're being polite," she said. "That's a very good sign." Morrison nodded. "Let's go meet our guests." Commander Nick Hayes carried the portable translation device as they walked through the corridors of the USS Defiance. Captain Morrison walked beside him, with Dr. Grant and Sergeant Wright following behind. The hallways felt different now that they were awake. The same metal walls and floors, but somehow changed by the knowledge that 3,000 years had passed. "The translation matrix is working," Nick said, watching the small screen on his device. "I'm picking up their language patterns. They're definitely trying to communicate, not scout for weak points." "How can you tell?" Dan asked, his hand resting on his weapon. "The mathematical sequences they're sending include peaceful symbols, prime numbers, geometric shapes, even what looks like musical scales. No military data at all." When they reached the section where the aliens had entered, Nick could see them through the internal cameras. They were still examining the human technology, but now they seemed to be waiting. The reptilian being was standing near the breach in the hall, while the crystalline creature was studying the metal walls. The gaseous being floated near the ceiling. "They know we're coming," Lisa said. "Look at their body language. They're not surprised or defensive." Morrison stopped at the sealed door leading to the section. "Nick, are you ready?" "As ready as I can be," Nick replied. "The translation system should handle basic concepts. Complex ideas will take time." Morrison pressed the door control. The heavy metal door slid open with a soft hiss. The aliens immediately turned toward them, but none of them made threatening movements. Nick stepped forward first, his translation device held out in front of him. "Greetings," he said slowly. The device made soft beeping sounds as it converted his words into mathematical patterns and transmitted them to the aliens. The reptilian being stepped forward and made a series of sounds that were almost musical. The translation device worked for several seconds, then displayed text on its screen. "Greetings, ... peaceful ... research. Ancient ... ship." Nick smiled. "They're saying they come in peace and are researching our ship because they think it's ancient." The crystalline being made sounds like wind chimes, and the translation device worked again. "Apologies ... intrusion ... They're apologizing for entering without permission," Nick said. "They thought our ship was empty." Morrison stepped forward. "Tell them we understand. Ask them who they are." Nick worked with the translation device for a moment, then transmitted the question. The reptilian being responded with a longer series of sounds, double quotes, Dr. K, ETH single quotes, Val Zephyr, Ian Consortium, Study old civilizations. They're archaeologists, Lisa said excitedly. They study ancient civilizations. The gaseous being spoke next, its voice coming from all around them like an echo. The translation was brief. Your ship very old Surprising. Nick transmitted a response. We have been sleeping for 3,000 years. We just woke up. The aliens seemed to become very excited. Dr. Kethfall made rapid sounds, and the crystalline being flickered with bright lights. The gaseous being swirled faster through the air. Sleep 3 thousand years impossible where from? They want to know how we slept for so long and where we came from, Nick said. Morrison looked at his team. This was the moment of truth. They could try to hide their military nature, or they could be honest about who they were. Tell them the truth, he decided. We are human beings from the planet Earth. We were soldiers in a war against an enemy called the Devourers. We went to sleep waiting for orders that never came. Nick transmitted the information. The aliens became very quiet. Dr. Kethfall made soft sounds, and the translation device showed his words. DEVOURERS yes Paul scenes. Lisa felt then they years they her heart leap. The Devourers are gone? The war is over? The crystalline being spoke next, its voice like bells ringing. No. War species together. Peace exploration learning. They're saying there's been peace in the galaxy for a long time, Nick said. Many species work together now. Morrison felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The war was over. Humanity had won, or at least survived long enough for the enemy to disappear. But that raised new questions. Ask them what happened to the Devourers, he said. Nick transmitted the question. Dr. Kethfall responded with a long series of sounds. Nobody. Knows vanished, suddenly no, trace, some. Say defeated some say. Left galaxy, buoy. It's a mystery, Nick said. They just disappeared one day. The gaseous being, who they learned was Captain Mordon, spoke next. Your ship very advanced armor. Stronger than modern ships war. Dan stepped forward. Tell them yes, we were built for war. But we want peace now. Nick transmitted the message. The aliens seemed to relax even more. Dr. Kethfall made happy sounds. Peace good galaxy needs protectors but prefer. Peace war. Lisa asked Nick to translate a question. How many species are there in the galaxy now? The answer amazed them all. 40-7 species in consortium more more. Desti, all peaceful or neutral. 47 species working together, Lisa said in wonder. During the war, we only knew about the enemy coalition. We never imagined there were so many peaceful races. The crystalline being, Velmora, spoke next. Would like share about humans teach about galaxy exchange information. They want to share knowledge, Nick said. They'll teach us about the galaxy if we teach them about humans. Morrison smiled. For the first time since waking up, tell them yes. We would be honored to learn from them. As Nick worked to translate the acceptance, Dr. Kethval produced a small device from his equipment. Images appeared in the air above it, showing star maps and pictures of different planets and species. This galaxy now peaceful exploration. Trade learning art music no conquest no war. The images showed incredible things. Cities that floated in the clouds of gas giants. Crystal forests on worlds made of living gemstones. Space stations where dozens of different species worked together on scientific projects. It's beautiful, Lisa said, tears in her eyes. The galaxy we always hoped for. The gaseous Captain Mordun spoke again. Your ship legend humans devours saved galaxy disappeared extinct happy you alive. We're legends? Morrison asked. Nick transmitted the question and got a surprising answer. Yes stories? Tell humans who against darkness children learn your courage in schools. Lisa laughed. We're not just alive, we're famous. Dr. Kethval made excited sounds. Must tell consortium humans. RETURNED galaxy will celebrate point beat u. Learn from u. Morrison felt overwhelmed. They had gone to sleep as soldiers in a losing war. They had woken up as heroes in a peaceful galaxy. The universe had changed completely while they slept. Tell them we would be honored to meet the consortium, he said. But we need time to understand what has happened. 3,000 years is a lot to catch up on. The aliens agreed immediately. Dr. Kethval offered to share their historical database. And Velmora volunteered to teach them about modern galactic culture. Captain Mordun offered to escort them to the nearest consortium station when they were ready. As they stood in the corridor of the USS Defiance, surrounded by friendly aliens who wanted to help them, Morrison realized that everything had changed. The war was over. The galaxy was at peace. And humanity had a chance to be part of something wonderful. The ancient Dreadnought was awake, but it might not need to fight anymore. Maybe it was time to learn how to live in peace. 3 days had passed since first contact with the Archaeological Consortium. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, looking at the star charts that Dr. Kethval had shared with them. The galaxy was so different from what they remembered. Dozens of species living in peace, trading knowledge and resources, instead of fighting over territory. Captain, Lieutenant Brooks called from the sensor station. I'm reading something strange on long-range sensors. Multiple ships approaching from the outer system. Morrison walked to her station. How many ships? At least 50, sir. Maybe more. They're too far out to get an accurate count. Dr. Grant looked up from the alien database she had been studying. Could be a consortium fleet coming to meet us? Maybe, Morrison said. Nick, contact Dr. Kethful. Ask him if they're expecting company. Commander Hayes worked at the communication station, using the translation system they had improved over the past few days. After a moment, he frowned. Sir, Dr. Kethful says, no consortium ships are scheduled to arrive for another week. He sounds worried. Morrison felt the old familiar feeling in his stomach, the feeling that had kept him alive during the war. Something was wrong. Pete, how are our power systems? Chief Collins looked up from the engineering controls. We've been charging the main batteries with help from the consortium ship. We're at 60% power now. All weapons systems are operational. Good. Amy, run a full sensor sweep of those approaching ships. Brooks worked at her controls for several minutes. When she looked up, her face was pale. Captain, the energy signatures match the Devourer ships from our database. It's them. They're back. The bridge went silent. Morrison felt time slow down. As he processed what she had said, the Devourers had returned after 3,000 years. The peaceful galaxy was about to face the enemy that had once nearly destroyed everything. How many ships? He asked quietly. 87 confirmed contacts, sir. All large vessels. It's a full battle fleet. Morrison walked to the captain's chair and sat down. The familiar weight of command settled on his shoulders. After 3,000 years of peace, the galaxy,